Hi class, I wanted to do a follow-up video for the homework too. I'm actually making the more complicated calculations extra credit. And so for doing those calculations for both Facebook sets of data, you really just need to use these numbers right here. So you've got the t equals the mean differences over the estimated standard error. And so these two things in this data set, so I didn't pull up the Facebook data set, I picked up another one that basically looked at people's memories when they were given abstract words versus concrete words. And so we had two different groups. You either saw abstract words or you saw concrete words. And so this was the calculated t. The degrees of freedom is 36. The degrees of freedom 36 comes from 19 minus 1 plus 19 minus 1, or 38 minus 2. You can see the p is less than 0.05, which means it is significant. So we do see differences between these two different conditions if you were assigned to memorize abstract words versus concrete words. And then the t calculation, this is the top of the t, this is the bottom of the t. So it'd just be 5.36 divided by 0.639, and that gets you to that 8. Cohen's d is our effect size. It's 2.36. That is large. So we'd say there's a large effect size. This data was great. I had a p greater than 0.05, so that means that I've met those assumptions for equality of variance. Remember, equality of variance is something unique to just an independent t-test when you have two separate groups. I am now going to show you in some more detail kind of those more complicated ways to calculate the bottom of the t if you're wanting to do this. Again, this is extra credit. So you, for the top of the t, you would just take 14.8 minus 9.21, and that will give you the same number that's up here, 5.63. You also are going to have to calculate the bottom, and the bottom's a little bit trickier. So the bottom for an independent t-test, you first need to calculate what's called pool variance, and that's right here, degrees of freedom 1 divided by the degrees of freedom total times the variance for group 1, plus degrees of freedom for group 2 divided by degrees of freedom total times the variance for group 2. Again, we're given standard deviation in these, and so what I did was standard deviation squared equals variance, and so that's what's used in the pooled formula. Okay, so I then took, to get this first, this is the first thing I'm going to do, I then am going to plug and chug. So degrees of freedom 1 was 18, degrees of freedom total was 36. My SD, I'm going to switch colors here just to make it a little easier to read. My SD for group 1 was 1.74. Again, I need the variance, so I'm going to square it. Plus degrees of freedom for group 2 over degrees of freedom total. So 19 minus 1, and then our degrees of freedom total was 36, times 2.18 squared, again, to get the variance. If I do add all these numbers together, I get 1.54. If I add all of these numbers together, I get 2.376. Again, feel free to pause the video and go through the calculations yourself, and that adds up to that 3.89. That 3.89 is going to go into my estimated standard error. So again, this guy here, I'm going to change colors on you. This guy here is your standard error for your mean difference. This is the bottom of our t. Okay, so then we are going to go ahead and try to calculate that. So to get to the standard error mean difference, I'm going to need that SP squared, that pooled variance squared. So that pooled variance squared is at the top, and then the bottom is n for group 1 and n for group 2. So I have 3.89 over 19 plus 3.89 over 19, take the square root. When I get that, that becomes the square root of 4.9. I get the square root of 4.9, and that's 0.639. Guess what? If we go back up, 0.639, that's 0.639. So again, if you want to show me your calculations for that, that is the bonus. All right, you can also just keep it simple and work with this formula right here for that step 3. And again, I had asked you to do both calculations. I also wanted to show you what I meant by the T's. So in your homework, I had said kind of draw where you'd expect it to be. So let's just give you a darker color here. All right, so our T distribution is something like this, and T equals 0. All right, and then all I'm asking you to do for the homework is draw the T on there. So that 8.81, again, this isn't your homework data, this is just example data. Whoa, is like all the way out here. All right, and we know that is part of the reject null region. It's in that extreme value. And we know that that's a p less than 0.001 from the information that's given. So there are significant differences. I can then go back up. These were concrete words, and these were abstract words for this data set. So then I could make a conclusion. People who were given concrete words like ball, chair, remembered them more easily than abstract words like love, think. Okay, so I hope this little follow-up video was helpful for you. Again, feel free to ask any questions, and I'm going to post this as added help for homework 2. Thank you, and I hope you're having a great week.